Hey guys, good morning and welcome to another episode of my video blog. My name is Chris Inglezu and I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm going to get right into it and I'm going to try and make it short and sweet as much as possible. I know I do sometimes ramble on, but honestly guys, it's only due to my sheer passion, not only for fish keeping, for habitats and freshwater ecosystems, but also for sharing knowledge and information to you guys. Okay, today I was thinking, what do I want to talk to you guys about? And I think something that keeps popping up into my mind is the concept of recreating your fish's habitats in your aquariums, and why we should do that versus why we shouldn't. And it seems pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory why you should do it, but there are plenty of fish species that are very versatile, very adaptable, and can do well even in a completely bare tank. We see it a lot in the discus fish kind of community, where you get these usually domestic variants, to be honest, but discus keepers who keep the discus fish, and they're just in a bare aquarium and they seem to be fine just with each other's company. Sometimes the water parameters are quite different to what you find in their natural habitats, and they seem to do well. There's plenty of other species that survive. They sometimes do very well because of their adaptability or their resilience in some cases. And so we have to ask ourselves, well, why should we keep fish, go to the effort to recreate biotopes in aquariums if for many species it doesn't actually matter? They survive, they even breed, reproduce, and so on and so on. And on one side there's there's this human element that goes, it's really cruel to take fish from the other side of the planet. They travel all the way here, they survive all these different traveling processes, get into the stores, and sometimes they're chucked into tap water. Again, often many of them perish, but many of them don't, depending on their care, depending on where they land. And then they might make it to your aquarium, and then you keep them with blue gravel and a big skull and all these things, and it kind of feels like there's this human side that goes, that's not fair. Try to give the fish what it has in the wild, where in many cases the fish could not give a damn. They just carry on swimming, and we know no different. That being said, they could be really upset and we just don't know about it. That's why you really got to tune in to your fish, and understand the species you keep as well as you possibly can. But on the other side, there is this measurable thing that I have noticed, and for me it makes it worthwhile most of the time. So I find that when you put fish in a habitat that or an aquarium that resembles their natural habitat closely, and I'm talking about parameters as well as physical decor and all of that stuff, you tend to find that they can often behave in certain ways that you wouldn't have seen otherwise, or you would have seen but you didn't understand the context of, which is quite interesting. And then there's another aspect where sometimes putting them into context, where they're in this setting that looks and resembles their natural habitat, you find that you understand their patterning, or something about the fish, an adaptation in that fish that you suddenly understand because you've gone to the effort to do that. And then you start to really feel, for me anyway, like you're doing something right. This is closer to nature. Now I get it. And it's really, really amazing. So a good example that I can recall is on my trip to the Atabapo River. Many of you will know this river is actually on the border of Venezuela and Colombia. So I had an opportunity to go to both countries and explore the Orinoco Basin along this river and the Atacavi, and prior to that, a few other rivers in Colombia on that particular trip, and it was really amazing. But along the Atabapo and into the Atacavi River, a lot of that river is underpinned by huge rock, kind of sandstony type rock. Something it's like almost like granity, rough rock. Okay, I can find somewhere the actual rock name. I might try to put it up if there is anyone interested in geology or that wants to try to do that in their aquariums. But let me know. I might be able to pop it in the comments for you, because there are papers out there that have mentioned this thing and studied it. So anyway, because of that, there's not a lot of silt or muddiness. You only really get it where the terrestrial habitat meets the water, and then in some areas you get little stretches of graminoid grasses that grow, like bulbostylis, or actually I'm not sure if that even is a graminoid grass, but it's kind of like a cyperus. But yeah, bulbostylis and some other plants that grow along there. So the water's very clean, it's tannin stained, and there are large boulders on the bottom of the riverbed. And they're usually quite elongated shape because the water brushing over them makes them these kind of long slabs. And so there are crevices underneath. Right. What I found when diving down there was that there were large social groups of plecos down there. In the hobby, the common name they're referred to as butterfly plecos. They're L052, so L52. And I'll put the scientific name across the screen for any of you guys who are, working at that sort of level. And so it was really, really cool to first of all find them in social groups, because I've never really known. I've always been interested in loricariids like plecos, but did not realize that they were different like that. That there were some solitary and there were some that were really social, and that was an interesting factor for me. But yeah, so you've got this kind of yellowy, browny tinge on the water, and the shallower you get, the more yellow, the deeper, the more dark, kind of reddish even. And even in the shallows, you can see these social pleco families under these rocks, and then kind of coming out from the rocks and exploring a little bit on the rock around, grazing on periphyton and other different types of things. And what really struck me is if you will see the patterning of those plecos, it's sort of like wavy yellow lines and then wavy black lines almost along the whole body. They're quite flat because they have to tolerate quite a strong current in the high water season. Atabapo River's pretty strong. Trying to swim it was quite tricky. It wasn't until I watched these fish coming out from under these rocks, in these little crevices, out into the sunshine, in the shallow tea-stained water, on this rock. They're all in their little family, feeding on periphyton, as I said, and no, start again. So, okay. And it wasn't until I saw these little families of Dicaesaria picta coming out from under these crevices, under these rocks, out into the sunshine, and then the sun rippling into the water, that I understood the significance of these yellow and black wavy lines on the fish. It's a camouflage for the rippling sun and shade that kind of intermittently flows all over the riverbed as they're swimming around. And so that's their adaptation, that's their way that they felt safe to come out and explore and feed. And you know, shade cast over them is a sign for them to, you know, retreat. That's how they it happens for most fish. You might find sometimes, oh, why when I walk in a room do my fish all scatter into the corner? And you're thinking, what the hell's going on? I guarantee you 99% of the time, if you cannot figure out why your fish are doing that, it's because you are casting a shadow, and it can be a very subtle shadow, onto your aquarium as you walk in and out of a room. I hope that's useful. That's a really good tip that a lot of people don't understand. So look at the orientation of your aquarium if you have that problem, and try to find a place where you do not cast a shadow. Anyway, that coloration of the fish is so connected to the sunlight and the shade and the rippling as the water passes over the fish that it's just amazing. So to recreate it and to see it finally in context, I understood the fish like never before. So to recreate that in an aquarium is really something special. Again, you can do this with other things, but I think there's something to be said about doing it in a way that most closely resembles nature, that feels really rewarding. And so that's something that I just wanted to give you guys today, for you to take away and think about, and maybe trying to incorporate in your fish keeping. But many of you will have stories to tell me, so share with me things you've done that are interesting. Maybe things that also were not exactly like nature, but were able to recreate some type of behavior in your fish that was natural. First thing that comes to mind is the pelvic acromis, the Cribensis cichlids that use a plant pot to breed or something like that. Often with a pistogramma as well. But yeah, all right. Anyway, I hope that's been useful for you. Wishing you all an amazing day. To those celebrating Chinese New Year, Gong Hei Fat Joy, at least to the Cantonese speakers. And to all the others, I apologize. I think it's Gong Ha Fa Shi. My pronunciation is terrible anyway. I apologize. But I'm wishing you all an amazing New Year period, celebrating the Lunar New Year. And yeah, have a fantastic day. All right.